This is a new card, the Wells Fargo Attune Card. It has no annual fee and the perks it offers is pretty good and surprisingly niche. So I thought it would be good to go over this new card, talk about my thoughts, and also compare it to other similar players. I know Wells Fargo has a bad rep for their overall customer experience, but if you look a bit past that, this card could be great for you, so let's get started. And before we get into it, if you could just take a moment to like the video and possibly subscribe, it would help my channel a ton. Thanks so much. So to start, the Attune card has a welcome bonus of $100 when you spend $500 in purchases within the first 3 months of opening the card. And again, this card has no annual fee, but it has surprising benefits. So for one, you get unlimited 4 times the points on categories you don't often find in many credit cards out there. So let me go through them. And it's a pretty broad and huge list. So the main categories are self-care, sports, recreation, and entertainment, and planet-friendly purchases. So let me zoom in and read through what Wells Fargo has online. So talking about the self-care list, you have beauty and barbershops, gym memberships and fitness studios, health and beauty spas, and massage parlors. So some examples of that would be Supercuts, Massage Envy, and Gloss Nail Bar. And for fitness studios and gym memberships, you have ClassPass and LA Fitness. Next category, let's talk about sports, recreation, and entertainment, and this is a pretty big category. So the first one here is called create and collect. So that would be more of the crafty side with photography or games. So there's artist supply and craft shops, camera and photographic supply stores, hobby, toy, and game shops, photo finishing laboratories, and photo developing, and then sewing, needlework, fabric, and piece goods stores. So that actually includes Etsy, GoPro, Joann, Legos, Michaels, and Oculus store, which is a little bit surprising. I didn't think about Oculus. Next up, we have gardening and floral, so anything florists, nurseries, lawn and garden supply stores. So some merchant examples you have are Ava's Flowers, Flower Shop Network, or Do My Own, I haven't heard of these, 1-800flowers.com, or Johnny's Selected Seed. Next up, let's talk about the other recreation and leisure activities. This one's a big list. So you have aquariums, zoos, amusement parks, pool establishments and billiards, bowling alleys, circuses, dance halls, studios, and schools. So if you go to a dance school, I guess that's included. Tourist attractions and exhibits, camping, sporting, recreation services not elsewhere classified, and trailer parks and campgrounds. So those merchant examples include Broadway Dance Center, Discovery Cove, the Disneyland Collection, you have Hip Camp, I don't know why they specifically named Houston Zoo, but you have that. The Kennedy Space Center, let's see, Monterey Bay Aquarium. I know that is like $50 entrance, but it's very cool. And you have Six Flags, Soccer Shots, Universal. Very cool. So pet care, that is another category too. So you have the pet shops, other miscellaneous services like Chewy, Rover, or Petco. And then we have sports recreation equipment. So that would include bicycle, boat rentals, marinas, anything sports. So that would be Cruise America, Cancun Adventures, Academy Sports, or even Peloton. So then next up we have sports and live entertainment tickets. So if you want to see orchestras or bands or anything really box office-y or Ticketmaster or Legoland. And then you have streaming music, movies, and books. So bookstores, cable, television, motion pictures, like all things Netflix, Pandora, you name it. Okay, next big category is the planet-friendly purchases. So you have the antique category. So that's like the secondhand stores. So if you like to go thrifting or for antique shops, that's there. For bus lines, you have Greyhound, the bus Coach USA, EV charging stations. So if you have a Tesla, this will give you that benefit, and local commuter passenger transportation. So Clipper Card, the MTA, New Jersey Transit, etc. And passenger railways, so that would be like Amtrak, they also listed other merchants from out of the country, like Taiwan High-Speed Rail, but this card has foreign transaction fees, so be careful with that. And finally, we have other transportation services, and that would include Lime, Uber, and Zipcar. So that's a pretty big list, and I'm a little bit surprised. When I first glimpsed at this card, I didn't think it was that extensive. I also didn't think that something like Six Flags would be included, so kind of surprised there. And then for everything else that is not in these categories, it would be 1 times the points on everything else. So this card also offers some sort of protection, such as cell phone protection and secondary auto collision damage waiver, and it does have foreign transaction fees, like I said before, so I would not use this card abroad. And as you can see, these categories are pretty much unheard of, at least for me, and they're also not random, and I can see that Wells Fargo did their due diligence of targeting the urban Gen Z, which seems to be a trend for a lot of credit card companies out there as they're putting their perks toward these targeted user groups. So in my opinion, I actually have a recent situation that makes me a little bit intrigued by this card because of my latest hobbies, which are going to the gym and gardening, and I haven't exactly found a credit card that specifically targets these categories all the time, but I'll be going into that in a bit. So I haven't been to the gym in 3 years, and after looking around the DFW area, I found myself gravitating towards Lifetime Fitness, and they have a mix of normal weights and equipment along with classes in swimming, but the price isn't cheap. So a regular gym, I guess, would cost between $20 and $50 a month, but this one is around $190 a month in my area. So seeing the cost of this, if I were to go to the gym and put the points on this new Attune card, I would be getting almost 9,000 points per year, which isn't really bad. It's like getting $90 back if you calculate that with 1 cent per point. And if I were to put this spending on the Chase Freedom Unlimited card, that amount would be around 3,400 points since there's no gym category, and that would be getting me 1.5 times per point. Now comes the question though, even though the Attune card, it has little risk, so there's no annual fee, there's unlimited 4 times the points, and there's no quarterly activation required, but I have to consider Wells Fargo's rewards program, which I'm not too familiar with. And I do own the Built MasterCard, which is basically a Wells Fargo card, but there's a whole portal to redeem points specifically for this card. So let's take a look at how to redeem the rewards with this Attune card on Wells Fargo. So you can redeem the points in the form of the following at 1 cent per point. So for one, you can redeem the points as credit to your account, and then you can also redeem them as gift cards, and finally you can redeem them in the form of paying yourself back with PayPal, but Wells Fargo didn't really do a good job of showing the cent per point on this one, so I don't want to say it here on this video. So there's no option to take your points and send them to transfer partners unless you have a higher tier card with Wells Fargo. Maybe it's the Autograph. I don't have this card, so I can't exactly say if you can transfer the points from the Attune to the Autograph. But still, cash back for this card isn't a bad option. You're basically getting a discount on what you buy, and there's not many or even any credit cards that offer 4 times the points for all of these listed categories. But anyway, let's take a look at other cards to compare. And a lot of the cards that I would consider that are similar to this Attune card are ones with quarterly rotating categories. So for one, you would have the Discover or the Chase Freedom Flex, but for these two cards, you don't get to choose which category gets you that 5 times the points back per quarter. But looking back at Chase's past category list, you do see fitnesses and even lows for gardening, so it does hit those categories. And also there is a limit for how much you can spend per quarter, and that is $1,500. The next card would be the US Bank Cash Visa Signature Card. And for this card, it also has rotating quarterly categories and you are able to select 2 categories from within the list. So it does give you that flexibility. And the categories are fast food, TV streaming, cell phone, utilities, department stores, electronic stores, sports gyms, transportation, movie theaters, and select clothing stores. And you get 5% back with a $2,000 quarterly spending cap. So that's all for that card. And for the third card I have to mention to compare is the Citi Custom Cash card. And for this card, you can also select a category every quarter, but you can only select 1 out of the list of 10. And the list is restaurants, gas stations, grocery stores, select travel, select transit, select streaming services, drugstores, home improvement stores, and fitness clubs and live entertainment. And you'd be getting 5% back on that spending, but you have a spending cap of $500 every billing cycle, which is basically every month. So the cap kind of makes it feel a little bit more restrictive. So I think overall, if you spend a lot of money in these categories and you don't care about pooling your points in certain ecosystems such as Chase or Capital One to eventually use those points for travel, then I think this card is really good. And also I think it's a great starting credit card because it's pretty hard to find 4 times the points back on multiple categories, and there's no annual fee and no limit. So what are your thoughts about this card? Are you planning on getting it, or do you have some issues or questions about this card? Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in another video. Bye!